Hello and welcome. My name is Corey, professional search consultant here at Preference. I work with these two guys here on a day-to-day basis, and we definitely have a lot of teamwork in all the things that we do here.
What's your name?
Josh.
Oh, okay. So I'll be Rob today?
Let's switch it
All right,
up.
awesome. Sweet. I'll do all bad things.
All bad things, as usual.
So what are we talking about today?
Resumes from the candidate perspective. So we wanted to get a conversation going. Hopefully it's informative for those of you out there that are doing the old job search. And any questions and stuff, comment below as well. And just try to give some tips and tricks and what to do, and definitely some of the what not to do's out there as well. I don't know, Rob, what do you got for comments over that?
Well, I think it's a good place to start, kind of like what each of us looks for.
Yeah.
Because each of us kind of has a different way we go about looking at stuff. Just based on my background, I guess I place a little bit more. I typically go for like that education piece first, and then kind of see what their recent experience is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what do you go for first?
Yeah, I take a quick look at a little bit of the history and the progression of jobs, and I look for the story as well. The education is definitely important. Don't want to overlook that. Kind of depends on the position as well, and knowing the recruiter or the hiring manager, what's important to them, and kind of bridging that gap. But also just what is the resume story telling me about that person on a piece of paper, right? That's the first step, right? And then kind of putting that together. And I don't know, Corey, if you want to bridge that gap too. Or
Yeah. No, I always just look for the good in candidates to start. I mean, it's one of those things that I try to look for the good and why I want to talk to them, and kind of put the story together well, see if there's patterns. But really, it's one of those things that you look for common themes that kind of stick out with the candidates and things that you'd want to talk to them, sit down and visit with them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, talking about the story, right? So I think one of the reasons we do this is because sometimes the person with the best resume isn't the best candidate.
Correct.
And sometimes the person with a resume that might need a little work is the best candidate.
Yep.
So it's more about like finding those things, like when you're reading the resume, I'd love to ask them this question.
Yep.
And then over the course of time, you find more about them, you fill in the gaps, and then maybe you can advise them on how they can improve their resume.
Absolutely.
Or things that you can then share with the client to help them get that interview, or focus on those sorts of things that might make them a good cultural fit.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's all about the person, right? And doing your best to put your personality on a piece of paper is not the easiest thing in the world, as well as your skills. And if you've used a fancy AI generator and all of a sudden you've got all this fluff in there as well, and that's not you, don't do that either. But a lot of things. So it's tough to make that resume comprehensive, but yet still concise.
Absolutely.
Right?
And there was, a few years back, when it seemed like almost anybody, everybody was looking to hire. Anybody could find a job. You can go next door and find a job, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody was using their Indeed resumes, and they really weren't crafting their own resumes. They weren't really making it customized to who they are, and they all look the same. And I think that was something that candidates still use now, where they only use their Indeed copy of their resumes, that is essentially auto-generated, or they use ChatGPT or AI to make their own make resumes up, but they all kind of look the same. So like we were talking about earlier, it's trying to craft something to make it your own and customize it to who you are as a person and show your personality.
Yeah, personalize it. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. I've used an AI generator for helping people with resumes.
Same.
So it's okay to use AI. It's important that you take that time to consider what they spit at you, right?
Yeah.
So tailor make it to what you want. Tailor make it to a specific job. It's okay to have multiple resumes. Focus on, or at least look at it from the perspective of the client or the person who's going to read it. What are those super most important things that you want the person looking at your resume to get from it?
Yeah.
There's only, based on your experience, there's probably only so much you might be able to say.
Yeah.
You don't want to lie. Lying is definitely not good, but it's like, I want this person to know this about me. Well, make sure that is like one of the first things that their eye is drawn to.
Absolutely. And it kind of goes back to the format, right?
Yeah.
So top down, left to right, that's how we were all trained to look at a piece of paper or a document from way back in school. So, what do you want showcased about yourself the most, right? That goes towards the top. If you don't have a lot of relevant experience and it's more of an education-based entry-level position, education's got to go on the top.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then the other question about do I or don't I put that old, face shot on my picture, right? Or on my resume and kind of go from there. It's that's a bit of a sticky subject some days, because if you put your LinkedIn profile on there, they're going to see.
They're going to go there. Yeah.
So they'll see you there.
And that's what most people are doing right now.
Yep.
It's, resume. And I do, and even recommended to put your LinkedIn, like a link to your LinkedIn profile on your resume. I do think that's a good thing to do.
One thing I've heard you talk about a lot is like how long does someone look at a resume?
It's 6 to 7 seconds. That's the average time that somebody actually spends looking at a resume, which is literally nothing. And I mean, people's attention spans are even getting worse now, and so it's probably even less than that. I think we researched that like a year and a half ago, so it's probably even less than that now. But people just don't spend a lot of time. So you have to have a resume that's going to be basically making the person want to sit down and talk to them.
It's going to grab them. Yeah.
Yep.
And I love Corey's analogy. It's always stuck with me. He told me, he's like, wow, that's crazy, because professional bull riders try to ride a bull longer than somebody looks at a resume.
Right.
For a management position that's going to affect everyone in their company.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's, companies are seeing more resumes. They're seeing more applicants. It's not uncommon to have 50, 60 applications right now where they're not going to spend much time reviewing the resumes.
Well, it's kind of why we're such a valuable service.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we look at resumes all day, right? Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we have that experience. And we take that time. We have that ability to spend more time than 9 seconds per person to figure out and maybe give some people a chance who don't have the best resume that we think might actually be one of the best candidates. So we take that time to meet with them, and then we can bridge that gap. Maybe we can advise them on how to improve their resume, but also if and when we do submit that to a client, right? We're able to talk about it, in a way that maybe a candidate wouldn't, because they wouldn't feel comfortable advocating for themselves.
We can kind of cross that bridge, or be like almost like walking, talking resume form.
Yeah.
I just met with a candidate yesterday who, on paper, did not look good, and I didn't know what I was going to get sitting down with him. I had no idea what I was going to get. Once he came in, I mean, he was about as friendly as they can be. You could tell he had a very hard work ethic. You could tell that he was super dependable, reliable. And it didn't show that on paper, and I didn't know what I was going to get. We've also talked to people that their resumes look fantastic, and the
personality might be a little bit different,
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, I guess, really it just depends on the culture of the company. Sometimes, those soft skills versus the hard skills, it's a sliding scale,
Well, it's kind of dependent on the position as well. If somebody's applying for maybe a sales position, and your resume just speaks all like details and things of that nature, and you don't really showcase your personality, well, you'll probably get passed over pretty quickly. If it's an accountant and you talk about all people-y stuff, again, not really necessarily a match, right? So it's all about finding that balance and making it match as best as possible to the position that you are actually interested in, or even the industry. Sometimes I tell people also, if you're applying to a candidate or a job somewhere, and you know the company, and you're lucky enough to find out who's going to interview for this position, maybe it's HR, you looked at their LinkedIn profile and get a window into that kind of person's personality as well. And maybe if you're really jazzed about it, tailor that resume just for that job.
It's a great idea.
And really to that person, so that you grab their attention as well.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's important. Put effort in. I mean, thoughtfulness. Finding a job is kind of an important thing, right? So, look, low-hanging fruit, like make sure there are no mistakes on your resume. You'd be surprised. I'm sure we see them even from exceptionally intelligent people make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
And so it's not like if you make a mistake, it's not like the end of the world, but you want to read it and then read it again, and then have someone else look at it and then read it again. And, so I mean, I think putting in that time is important, right?
Yeah, past tense versus present tense.
Right.
So all the verbs for your present tense or your current job has got to be present tense. The past jobs have got to be past tense. Right. That's very important, because there are people that pick resumes apart. That's how
they absolutely do.
Yeah, and we're all trained that way, right? From decades ago. How can we find what's wrong about this resume and this person, and then we screen them out? Kind of going back to that.
Exactly.
Right. Versus the person that looks at the resume, are they really that savvy to screen somebody in, is what we call it, for that position? Kind of maybe flipping that script a little bit. Now we can talk about the actual client side of what do you do with resumes as a client, right? And how to help that a little bit, because clients are like 6 seconds, 8 seconds, whatever, next, versus 6 seconds, wait a minute, what is the story about this person?
Right.
How can I be curious? Because what we just talked about, the most amazing resume might not be the best fit for that position. And quite honestly, we see this happen
all
lot.
the time.
A lot.
All the time.
Amazing people get passed up
Mm-hmm.
from companies because of their just resume wasn't a match.
Mm-hmm.
And more companies are finally realizing, you know, it's a slow trend that way, where they're starting to say more of like, hey, I don't have time to interview all these people, and I can't tell who the best candidate
Mm-hmm.
is. And if they think they can based off a resume, like they have 50 resumes and they're able to whittle it down to 4 just because they can view or read a resume, it's really not true. Because we've been doing, this is what we do for our careers. This is what we do professionally, and we still aren't able to do that. It's really something that you're always going to be surprised after you meet someone. You know, and I was talking to somebody about a couple months ago as a client, a client that was looking to hire a good candidate, and he finally said, at this point, I just want to talk to everybody. I want to interview everybody because I don't know who's good and who's not good, and that's kind of the rule of thumb that we use.
Well, and there's also not that this is about interviewing necessarily, but hiring's risky. You know, you're not always going to make the right call. You know, you might interview 2 people or 3 people, and maybe one person just had a bad day interviewing and they had a great resume, but it doesn't jive, and so the other person's like, you end up hiring them. Sometimes, you know, you just don't know if it's going to work out, and that's okay. It's an imperfect process,
Very
right?
imperfect. Yeah, we're people. All of us, even us.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
Exactly.
Robot.
meet more.
Your turn, Corey. Corey's good with his hands.
Yeah.
For those you don't know.
I never know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, right? Putting everything about a person and trying to figure out everything about a person from a darn piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's just inherent to be troublesome.
Yep.
And just kind of, again, reinforcing that sometimes the interviews with candidates that I've liked the most are when the interview shows me like 100,000 times more who they are as a person, right? Rather than like to us, like the interview confirms what their resume tells me. I love when I'm able to add in so much more color and character and personality and interest from that interview than just on the resume. Because if they show me in the interview everything that's on their resume, then I want to be I'm a creative person, right? So I want that sort of stuff to be added to it.
Yep. You want to see that. You want to see the personality. You want to see what the values of that person are. You know, you can't find that on a resume. You know, they can put that on there, but it comes out when they're talking to you, basically.
Yeah.
Did we talk about professional summary?
Oh
no, we never
versus
did.
Objective.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Let's
good
go
point.
back a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's also a window into a little opportunity instead of maybe depending on how old you are out there. We were all told to put an objective summary, 1-line statement on a resume. I want to get this job, blah, blah, blah. Now, professional summary, because cover letters aren't necessarily so common anymore either. That professional summary can really set you apart too, to kind of give the creative people, like, you know, when Josh looks at that and he's going to go, oh man, what does this professional summary tell me? And, you know, yes, you know, went from 10% to 90% effective sales or whatever that is, great. But what about you as a person? It's almost like a mini cover letter baked into a resume to say, this is me as a person.
Yeah, the more personal you can make it, the better.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know, that's an opportunity in like 2 or 3 sentences, a short little blurb to set yourself up, because everybody else's resume, it's gonna have bullet points, it's gonna have dates, it's gonna have, you know, I mean, it's
they all look
you
the
know,
same.
yeah, you can really make that different, right?
And going back to the picture, you know, it's kind of debatable whether you should put a picture on there or not put a picture. But if you do put a picture on it, you got to at least smile. I mean, it's at least smile. I mean, I've definitely seen ones that they just won't even smile in the picture. I mean, you have to smile. It does not look inviting if you're not smiling in a picture. But I guess my 2 cents on that is probably keep the picture off.
Yeah,
because
probably the dog and cat don't need to be in there either.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, another thing that people do nowadays utilizing AI, because everything we're built around algorithms, right? So even you can input in ChatGPT or anything else, you know, tailor make this to an ATS, make this ATS friendly, or make make sure that certain words are highlighted, things like that. So I mean, you can do that. Any tool can be a worthwhile and useful tool. It's just you are the most useful tool.
You have to customize it.
You are the most important
You can use that as a tool in various other, you know, whether it's ChatGPT or AI, Google search templates, but you have to customize it for who you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, be the person.
Yep. And that's a lot of it. It's a resume ends up being, it's essentially like a brochure of somebody, right? It's
a reference.
It's their story. Yeah.
It's a story, but at the end, like
It's a
like we talked
highlight
about.
film.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a quick highlight film showing your career highlights as in a summarized document or 1 or 2 page document. That's what
because the candidates are always going to be so much more than what is on this piece of paper.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is there any magic sauce to it being 1 page versus 2 pages, or
I personally feel 2 is just fine.
Front and back, because when they get printed, front and back.
Yeah, front and back. Exactly. It's the ones that have 4, 5,
17
6,
pages.
7. It's 17. It's a book. Don't do a book. Don't do a book. Yeah.
Books are bad
Yeah.
for resumes.
Yeah, now that's more like a CV, curriculum vitae, where it really goes through everything. Now, if you want to have like a reference resume that has everything on it, and then you kind of pick and choose and pull specific things to highlight for a specific job opportunity, that's okay. But
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, wrapping it up here.
Yeah. This
you.
the end of the day, be yourself, make
Yeah.
it personable, and if you're a company looking to hire somebody, it's one of those things where just look for the good in somebody. Don't shut them down. Screen in, don't screen out.
Ted Lasso.
Be curious, not judgmental.